Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to share this incredible guest with you today. I'll introduce myself first as the host, but this is more so about Dr. Jon Harmon and his incredible intelligence and wisdom that he's going to share. And of course, his two books. I know a lot of you are here to learn that information. So I'll get started with me really quickly. My name is Dr. Kayla Abeid. I am local to the Spartanburg, South Carolina area. I am also a colleague of Dr. John's as a chiropractor, and of course, LifeWave obsessed lover and user and advocate. And so thank you, Dr. Jon, so much for joining us here today. I'm so excited for everyone to continually hear you speak. I've joined so many of your talks on so many other podcasts and videos, and I just couldn't wait. But Hurricane Helene had a little bit of a delay for us. So we're about a couple weeks out from that, and now we're able to share with everyone. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself and, I think we have a lot of chiropractors on here today, or a lot of practitioners. So share with us, kind of walk us through your journey of becoming a chiropractor, your practice, 'cause I know you're still practicing, and all that information that people can learn about you.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I love talking about LifeWave, chiropractic, health in general. We healthcare providers have a thing inside of us where if someone tells us that we help them with their health, we get 2 weeks of endorphins. It's like yeah, we're good. I don't need food. I don't need water. Just tell me I helped you. So I noticed that in myself early on. In my life that I really liked helping people in that way. And so from the time I was very small, I wanted to be a chiropractor, and it was reinforced when my mom was taking my brother somewhere. I said, "Where are you going, Mom?" She said, "Well, I'm taking Dan to the chiropractor. He has asthma." And then when he came back, he didn't have it anymore. Man, that would be cool to be able to do that with your hands and help people like that. So from that point, I just wanted to be a chiropractor. I got almost persuaded when I was at the University of Utah. I was in the anatomy. I was one of the teaching assistants in the anatomy department, and all of the rest of the TAs were going to med school, and they kept saying, "Harmon, why don't you go to med school? Why are you going to be a chiropractor?" And I kind of wavered towards orthopedic surgeon, but every time I would do that, I would just get, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. I want to help people this way. So I did that. I got a little bit diverted from starting. We had our first child without any insurance, and I had to postpone going to school. We had the baby, and I had to go to work to pay for it. I'd never heard of anything like Medicaid or any assistance. I said, well, I just got to pay this bill off. So I went into real estate and got kind of sidetracked there for about 8 years. And then in 1979, the interest rates went up to 21%. And I said, you know what? I don't care how much, because I did pretty well there for a while. And it doesn't matter how much money you're making if you're not doing what you love.
Mhm.
So I became the best salesman in the world. I sold my car, sold my house, sold all my stuff, and went back to school. I started with 3 kids. We had 2 more kids while I was in chiropractic college. My journey was a lot different than my classmates who came right out of college, didn't have any kids. And I was, I had a good support group, let's say. I never had a chance to get lonely, but my schedule was study at school, come home for dinner, have dinner, go back in my room, study for 50 minutes, come out for 10 and play with the kids, study for 50 minutes, come out in 10, all night till about midnight, get up and get to school by 7 so I could practice technique, and then, start it all over again. It was pretty intense. But I kind of got hardened to you know, the rigors of doing that and being a dad, being a doctor, and trying to get some balance. I wanted to give you that background because there are probably doctors who are going to watch this. And I say, doctor, I don't know about you, but I had this specific idea of how my retirement or what my retirement would look like. Yeah, I'd probably bring somebody into the practice and get them up to snuff, and then they'll buy my practice, or sell it and just ride off into the sunset and everything's going to go great. That's how it's going to be. Never gave it another thought. And in March of 2010, my 18-year-old niece committed suicide. In March of 2011, my oldest daughter's husband was murdered. And 4 years of counseling and prescription drugs could not fix the anxiety, depression, and insomnia that my daughters, granddaughters had. I had anxiety-induced insomnia. I'd wake up, my heart would be pounding. I'd think, tonight I'm going to die because of all of that stress. And then in 2017, well, first of all, I went looking for things to fix their brains. I'm telling you this story because this is how I ended up having a place that fixes brains. So I brought neurofeedback into my practice. I was looking for things to help my kids and my grandkids. And I was trying to do chiropractic and neurofeedback at the same time. And it was tough because you really have to focus on one thing. In the midst of that, I went in for some dental work, and the dentist had to do a little procedure, and he had to put a dental dam in, and I get all claustrophobic, and so he put me under conscious sedation. Okay, I'm good. Gonna get the dental work done, go home, it'll be good. That tooth will be good again. And I woke up, and the dentist said, yeah, that was so bad I had to do a root canal. And the only time in my life where I thought I could probably, with my bare hands, tear a building down, I felt so betrayed and violated. I didn't even know what I thought, I should probably not start. I should probably not talk right now. And, it is what it is. I had the thing done, and then a week later, my right wrist puffed up like a football, and huge. I mean, it was incredibly painful. Went to the emergency room, and because I'm a chiropractor in the emergency room's a medical doctor, he didn't like it when I said, I have I have an infection in my wrist, and you need to do a joint aspiration and a MRI. You need to investigate that. And he said, well, we took your blood. You don't have any markers of inflammation or infection. We think you have gout. And I said, I don't have gout. I've never had any metabolic issues. He said, well, here's some colchicine and indomethacin. See you later. So over a period of a week, I'm going downhill in and out of the emergency room. And they finally believed me. And I went in the day after Thanksgiving, and they did a joint aspiration, and then called me the next day. I'm going down, man. The phone rings and said, hey, this is Dr. So-and-so. You need to get in here. You got staph infection. And the doctor came in and said, if we don't do surgery, you probably only have about a 50% chance of making it. If we do surgery, sorry, you're not going to bend your wrist again. And so a drummer and a chiropractor won't be able to do that anymore. I haven't gotten emotional about this in a long time. What the heck did you do to me, Dr. Kayla?
I'm good for that. That's what I'm good for.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have warned you. Disclaimer. This usually happens with me.
Right. So I chose life, and then I had to go a different direction. I think it was God's way of saying, you're going to go help people with brains now. You're done with this. Here you go. Here's a new chapter of your life. So this is why I say, doctor, if you don't have a plan B in place now, while you still have your plan A, you probably ought to rethink that, because there's a probably 99% chance that it's not going to go down the way you think it's going to go down. Not that everything has to happen like mine did, but I did a little bit of this, feeling sorry for myself, and then decided I get to write the rest of that story, and I'm not done. I have more to give. And so while I was at home for 2.5 months, because I had a PICC line in my arm, my right hand didn't work anymore, and I had a PICC line up in my artery. And so I couldn't go to work. I decided while I'm home, I'm going to study all about the brain, and I'm going to take the course to get board certified in QEEG and neurofeedback. And off I went. I started a place called Clear Mind, Idaho, where we've helped people get their brains right since 2015, 2016. And so that's how I ended up where I am right now. I have Clear Mind, Idaho, and we help people with things like depression, insomnia, anxiety, PTSD, autism, cognitive decline, all kinds of things. We have such a great relationship with the program here that pays for autistic kids. All it takes now is a letter from me, and they pay for their treatment.
Oh.
So how did I get here? This is what made me open to looking at something else that I could have as a plan C, because my plan A went away quickly. I had a plan B, but I was open to doing a plan C. So I tell docs, open your eyes, open your mind, and to other possibilities, other than what you're doing with the same patient base that you have right now. Because, after you fix them, a lot of them just go on about their lives and you don't see them again. Sometimes you see generations of people like I have. Sometimes you don't. So it's good to have that plan B. So what is that? Well, there's this thing called LifeWave that has these phototherapy patches that change lives with energy your body's already making. How's that? You're already making the energy and it's going out into your environment. These little patches select out and reflect back a specific frequency into you that acts like UVB light does on your skin for telling your body to make vitamin D, but instead it makes a peptide. And David Schmidt, the little smart, he's not a doctor, he's a smart inventor, figured out what are those frequencies that I would have to capture and reflect back in? B, what would I need to do to form a crystal structure that doesn't exist in nature so that I could refract or separate out into individual frequencies that would act like wait for it, light switch, a light switch to turn on your peptide factory. Whether it's GHK, whether it's melatonin, epithalamin, carnosine, glutathione, whatever it is, each patch signals your body to make something else. Rather than going to your shelf, pulling out a supplement, vitamin, a pill, or getting an IV or an injection, a person puts a patch on their body. Granny can do that, who has cognitive decline, and just put a little Band-Aid on the back of her neck, and she doesn't have to have good absorption like you do with pills. I don't know about you, the doctors on this call, when you take x-rays, you're going over the x-rays, and there are a couple of things people ask about. What are those white things on there? Oh, those are the vitamins you took yesterday that never got absorbed that are coming out your bowel. Oh, okay. Sometimes, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you're a chiropractor and you've explained x-rays. Some like a real put together, almost model looking person, and I took low back x-rays. They said, what's all that? What's that dark thing in there? And I have to look at their face and say, that's bowel gas. And they're just mortified. I'm sorry I asked that question. It's pretty funny. Oh, the things we do in practice. So that's the longest, most comprehensive explanation of how I got here and why I was open. I don't know if I would have been open had those things not happened to me. But I'm really glad I did. Another thing I tell docs, what if on the first day of the month, before you even see one patient, if you knew that your overhead was already covered for you with residual income? How much stress would that take off of you when you have that one patient, that one person that you know exactly who I'm talking about? They need a little extra time, or you have somebody new and they need 20 minutes more, half an hour more because they have some special need. How much stress would it take off knowing that, I'm not so much under the gun to be so attentive to the exact amount of time. And so because I have this chunk of money coming in residually, we don't really talk about the money much in LifeWave, but it's an important factor for your life and being able to pay your bills and cover your expenses. And so there's that part of it too. To be able to have that coming in is a real stress reliever.
And I think too, that's an important topic of the conversation, and I'll just speak on chiropractic in general. That is a lot of the time really hard for us as chiropractors because we come out with such a serving heart. We see someone who we have something that no one has told them about, whether it be chiropractic or LifeWave, which I find is a massive thing in the world right now. Is like everybody wants help, right? But people don't know how to ask for help. They don't understand the help that exists. They don't understand a lot of those vital pieces. And so when we introduced LifeWave into our practice, I mean, gosh, we have people of all various spectrums, from expressing health and kind of like chronically sick to extreme, like peak vital states that they're just optimizing their vitality. And it was an easy conversation to have to be able to say, hey, there's something else that exists. There's something out there that can tap into your untapped potential. And it also congruently aligns with that mission. And I think that's the important part of the equation, is because we all want to help. We all want to serve. We all have people who have hardships in our community and we want to be able to help them. A lot of chiropractors that I've worked with or coached over over the last couple of years, it's like, well, I want to help this person, but I, like you said, I need my overhead paid for. And we tend to want to, try to leverage and find the levity between that. But that is, I think that's the ultimate goal for all of us in the helping fields, like you started off with saying, is that we have a mission, we have tools, we have things that we could share with people and leverage to them that anybody could benefit from. But we have to get on board with understanding that there is a conversation about exchanging time, energy, and effort, and the money component that comes in with that. And that's something that, like you said, there's always a reason what happens in life as to why you are led to the next thing. That's exactly what got us into LifeWave. Is I had a very similar story of getting hurt and not being able to physically be in the office. And that is what opened the door. If I wouldn't have probably opened that door if that was the case, needing to be able to, have a plan B or C. So I'm really grateful that you shared that story, because I think that's really important to a lot of the chiropractors that I personally invited, or on our team that personally invited alone. And there's a lot of people, there's over 50 people in here right now, but that's the chiropractic profession as a whole. So I'm really glad that you shared that. I know it got a little bit emotional. I do have that tendency on people, so I'm sorry. I should have warned you in the beginning.
It's your fault.
But but I want to kind of interweave a little bit more into the part that I also genuinely like love and love listening to you talk about is your passion for the research behind it and really making it applicable to even patients in an office, or if someone's not a chiropractor on here, they're just wanting to talk to somebody to be the light for that person. How do you share with that? I mean, I know your conversational pieces and how you interweave things is really profound. And I think that's what a lot of, at least I invited my team here to learn today, to just have organic conversation of education of potentials that people have left untapped.
Are you talking about initially contacting a healthcare provider?
Not even a healthcare provider, but I mean, just like you shared how easy it is to explain the technology. Just, I know you shared like a little bit before on other calls about your personal story of getting there, and just like we do in chiropractic, like you shared your life-changing story of like this is how we approach people. This is how you share this technology with people. Because I think a lot of people sometimes have a difficulty getting in their head about like the science of it. They have to like validate something, they have to say something to get someone to understand, but really we just have to share with our hearts and help people.
Absolutely. And I would tell people, even if you are talking to a healthcare provider, you really shouldn't do anything more detailed or anything. Let them hear it like everyone else does in a very simple form. Um, Doc, do you do anything with stem cells in your office? No. Have you heard about the new stem cell activation technology? No. Open up your phone. I mean, the same way. I tell you, the last thing that one would want to do is send a doctor an email with 14 attachments of studies. That doctor's going to go, I don't have time for that. And that's part of the issue with getting doctors on your team is unless you have kind of a cookie cutter thing, whether it's a new piece of equipment that a doctor's bringing into the office or like LifeWave, you have to know that the doctor has this thing going through his head. I'm already under the gun and I barely even have time to pee. And I'm not exaggerating, am I?
No.
I mean, it's like a patient, you're under the gun. So how am I going to add something else?
Mhm.
How am I going to do this? And so a very simple way, especially with chiropractors, depending on what type of practice you have, if you have a maintenance plan, it's a little bit different, but most people come in driven by pain. They have some kind of pain. And you can teach doctors to use the ice wave or the Eon, excuse me, to get their attention because it's fast acting. As you know, X39 may be fast acting with a one patch wonder type person, but most of the time it's not. And so the doc can say, hey, I want to introduce you to this new phototherapy technology because I want to get your attention. Uh, but my purpose in doing this is to introduce you to this other slower acting patch that elevates your own stem cells to fix the source of the pain rather than just change and give you the pain relief so that you can stop limping or whatever you're doing. And so as you're putting on the Aeon patch right on their pain spot, you're saying, this is introducing you to this X39. This is for long-term regeneration and repair. This is what you want to consider using at least 1 month for every decade of your life. Don't start it if you're not going to do that. Don't start it. You don't want to leave your house half built if
Yeah.
you're building a house. So, but I'm going to help you with your pain today. I'm going to put this right here. And they'll look at you like you're a magician. How did you do that? I said, this is this technology. Imagine this very similar thing happening, but instead of just changing the energy pattern in your body to relieve that pain, you're actually elevating production of other properties in your body, not the least of which is activating production of your own stem cells. So that's how I've taught docs how to introduce it. And those are some bullet points. Like you have to tell them right up front, if you're not going to use this for at least 1 month for every decade of your life, don't start.
Yeah.
It's a takeaway. It don't do it. And they know up front when they order, it's not something you have to come back and tell them about it. I forgot to tell you. Some of the other things I say, doctor, are there people in your state who will die tonight from something they don't even know they have?
Oh, this is my favorite. I love this conversation.
Are there people in your city who will die tonight for something they don't even know they have?
Mhm.
Your neighborhood, hopefully not your family. This is why people say things like, yeah, he died so suddenly, he didn't even know he had a fill in the blank.
Mhm.
When I started using the patches, I didn't even know I had a right bundle branch block. And I never would have known had I not had my first stress echo done. And I had it done because I had PVCs that were so irritating. And I had a knee replacement surgery coming up. And the PVCs got really rhythmic and regular. And I wanted to go find out what was going on. I'm going out of the knife here soon. I'll have to show you a picture of my knee, and then you'll understand why I didn't wait for stem cells to repair it. uh, so yeah, that stress or the right bundle branch block showed up. I went from a runner when I was younger in my 20s, running 40 to 50 miles a week, to having difficulty feeling like my heart was going to pound out of my chest walking up the hills behind our neighborhood. And I'm getting older. I don't know. Things just change and I'm out of shape or whatever. Then I had that right bundle branch block. Now, keep in mind, I had been using the X39 for 4.5 months and didn't really notice a lot of changes. You've probably heard people say that before.
Mhm.
And if somebody ever tells you, yeah, I'm going to use these for a month and see how they do. I'm my own guinea pig and I try things out on me. And I say, wow, a non-double blind, non-randomized, non-placebo controlled study of one. Amazing. And they kind of chuckle and I say, well, nobody does that. Why would you do that on yourself? There's always variances in how people respond to whether it's a drug, a therapy. And so you're limiting yourself to just one person and your own response. My response was, I didn't notice much for 4.5 months, and you're only going to give yourself a month. So consider 1 month for every decade of your life. So then I had the next stress echo done, right bundle branch block no longer present. If you Google right bundle branch block, you will find that all-cause mortality goes up if you have one. Doctors say, well, there's nothing we can do about it because there's no surgery for it. There's no medicine for it. And so they say there's nothing you can do for it. And now I am living the benefits of not having it anymore. And I can run up that hill instead of feeling like my heart's going to pound out of my chest. So that's my experience. Your experience may be different. I'm not saying that this cures right bundle branch block or anything really. I'm not making any, what I say is not designed to diagnose or treat or cure anything.
Mhm.
It's just my own experience. And so those things you say to your initial engagement with a doctor is just like everybody else's.
Mhm.
Give them the same opportunity to hear it in a simple form. You think because they're a doctor, they want to know all these scientific facts. If they ask you, that's different. And the same is true with everybody. You don't have to write a book and you don't have to get up in front of people and lecture. LifeWave introduction is very, very simple. It's let the video do the talking Don't send big, long pages worth of studies and stuff like that unless somebody asks for it.
Yeah.
Simple, keeping it simple is the big thing.
1,000%. I've had so many patients who've come in who've just, in the natural realm of sharing with others, shared their testimonials, and it has reached other providers, it has reached other local practitioners, it has reached medical doctors. And I always like to, humanize us. We're all humans, no matter what our profession is. We all genuinely get into this to genuinely love and care for people and want to see them get well. And we want to have tools and the ability to share with them. So kind of moving a little bit more forward in terms of the books, because that's incredible. Those books are amazing. I really want to make sure we touch on those. So can you share a little bit of your journey about putting those books together and kind of the idea behind it? It's probably like a plan D or E.
Well, actually, it was after the right bundle branch block went away. Over that period of a year, I used to do the Doctor in Science call with my sponsor, Savvy Vargas. And so I put together these PowerPoint presentations. So I'd already started looking through the research and everything. But after the thing in my heart went away, I go, how'd that happen? I need to, take a look at all this stuff. And so that's when I started doing that. And I had so much positive feedback from everybody because they were saying how much it really helped them. Because, we have thousands of testimonials. We all have our own. If you don't, give yourself a chance, you'll have your own. But if you can marry that with, let me rewind, your own personal testimonial has a lot of authenticity with it, and that has the highest frequency, highest vibrational energy of any emotion is authenticity, higher than love. If you can marry that with just some bullet points, you don't have to recite the page and the study, but if you have a couple of bullet points for everything, if a doctor asks you, well, what is the GHK's effect on cardiovascular system, and you say, well, it helps normalize fibrinogen level, it helps build strong and flexible arteries and veins, and it helps prevent cardiac failure. 3 things. The doctor said, whoa, this person knows what he's talking about. And because they're going to test you, the science guys are going to test you a little bit. You don't have to memorize a bunch of stuff. Just get some bullet points. So anyway, I put it all together and I had so much positive feedback. And then I remember David saying the Abeid is the second most powerful patch. And so, you know what? That story needs to be told too. So it's almost a year to the day that it took me to get that together. So August of, not this year, but the last year, that's when How to Reverse Aging was published. That's about GHK and AHK. And then this August was the book about epitalon. For those of you who haven't seen, I'll just show you. This is How to Reverse Aging. If you want an autographed copy, you can scan this. It will go to my office instead of getting it through Amazon. And maybe you can put them on there later. If you want epitalon, that's the code. These go to us rather than Amazon, and it will be autographed. So there are 90. Well, here's what you see when you go to PubMed about GHK. Look at that. There are, let me move this. Whoops, I went the wrong direction. Sorry. Come on, go back. There you go. There are 13 pages of studies about the GHK copper peptide. And that's where I got most of my information. And then there are also 13 pages of studies about epitalon. So, it's all there. You can do that yourself and look at it. In the copper peptide book, there are 91 references to the studies, and in the epitalon book, there are 96 references. So if you like to geek out on that stuff, they're there. If you don't, just, you know, read the summary in the book. Just read about it. But when you find things that you think, oh man, that's a simple sentence I could say to someone who asks me about it. But then if you're not there yet, all you have to do is look it up by the chapter and take a picture of it and text it to somebody. So it makes it easier to kind of go toe to toe a little bit with those um, analytical minded doctors who want clinical this and clinical that. Um, so that's how that all went down. People say, you're going to write another one? I don't know. Not right now. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I think it's really important to, we talk about like the frequency of the patches and all of the things, like even just having those books on hand is a really powerful frequency and tool to have to be able to share with people if they are, in that world of science or education. Or I find a lot of people just really want to tap in and learn a little bit more too. I mean, I've gotten on so many calls with people talking about GHK copper peptide and even a lot of your calls, and we every time we listen, or at least I'll speak for myself, every time I listen to someone speak about something, it just deepens the well so much more. And it gives you the opportunity that when you're talking to somebody, even not being a practitioner, removing my doctor hat, I'm just talking to someone at the grocery store, the more that you're just, in that pool of information and around people, there's a light going off in your head when they say something that you're like, oh, I know this. And you could genuinely and authentically connect with them too. And so I think, yes, the sciences can be very important to some people, but just having the ability to communicate has been the easiest part for me of LifeWave, is because people want to be well, they want to heal, and they don't want to follow a lot of the systems that we've built and the structures that we've been utilizing because it hasn't gotten them anywhere.
I actually had someone tell me that they were reading the How to Reverse Aging book out by the pool one day somewhere, and the person who worked at the hotel said, how to reverse aging, and it got her attention, and she ended up enrolling that person because she
Mhm.
was reading the book. And I thought that's really cool. It's like a conversation starter. Who doesn't want to reverse
Yes.
aging, right?
Yes. I mean, I know we were talked about before the call that we were both on the 20th anniversary cruise, but the one morning my husband slept in and I went and got breakfast early on, and I sat at like the only table that was left in the dining hall, and I sat down and this couple comes over and they come and they're like, are you one of you have this thing on you, this sticker thing. Are you one of those people that they took the whole entire all the staff from the cruise? What are these things? And I mean, she was pain-free when we went to the Acropolis because I patched her knees. She had a fantastic cruise, and she was no longer upset that all the staff was waiting on us at the party the night before. But it literally didn't take anything except for, what are you here for? I have pain, I have something, can this help me? And just being in the right place with people and communicating to them. I didn't have to tell her any of the science. She was like, "Wait, I'm going to go on an entire excursion tomorrow and I don't know how I'm going able to walk, and you have something that can help with that." And she was just ready and willing to try it. And so I always encourage people to just, like you said, be human, connect with them.
Yeah, and if you think about just that, what you said, the quality of life, and the fact that she was over there. How many times did you get over to Greece in your life?
Hmm.
And she was able to experience that whole thing. And then you add in the productivity, that the increasing productivity that someone has, instead of going into that slide into frailty and disability, that you maintain your vigor and your energy as you get older. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I just turned 70, and I just have all my vitality and vigor and productivity. Everybody's Medicare costs go down if everybody stays healthy.
Mhm.
more, we have less of this, less cardiovascular disease, less diabetes, less kidney failure, less on and on and on and on, name the thing. If we can help prevent that, um, happier families, happier couples, living life and going about. And, when you get to that retirement phase, you still remember who you are and
Mhm.
you can still travel. Those are big things for when you get older.
Yeah, and you don't have to have the cutoff of the financial halt if you worked for 50, 60 years to live for just 10 years of your life and to experience. And that's what I see a lot of chiropractors, but a lot of individuals finally shifting that mentality on too, is that why, with no matter where you're at in the generations of like, why did I work for all of this in order to experience like a small, tiny
Right.
part of my life? And I think that's it's not just health and vitality that patches give people. It's, financial liberation, it's freedom, it's sovereignty, it's their opportunity to tap into something that no one told them that they had access to. And when you tap into that, just in terms of health, it shifts so many other aspects of people's realities.
I spoke to someone that I helped Dr. Rostenberg sign up. And here's someone who has been on a journey for 20 or 30 years with chronic everything. She's gone to practitioner after practitioner after practitioner. She has researched online. She's Googled. She's done all these things. And she said, and this company is 20 years old. Why haven't I heard about it yet? And just the reason I bring that up is there's so many people who are searching for
Mhm.
something, and then sometimes we're afraid to talk. Are you kidding me? We're afraid to open our mouths, man. Just go about it bold and strong and with confidence, knowing that you are going to change this person's life. And a lot of times that can override the if we have a little social anxiety, or we feel inhibited, or I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, I'm this, I'm that. Just open our mouths and tell people and share it with them. Somebody was asking a question about placement of Eon and IceWave. IceWave is a little bit more difficult because of it's dependent upon the placement of the two patches. You have two of them. Eon activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is in charge of cutting off inflammation. It's an anti-inflammatory part of our nervous system. Systemically, that part of the nervous system cools off inflammation. If you put the Eon patch right on, let's say someone had hip bursitis. Like if you've ever had that, it feels like a hot poker is sticking in your hip. You can put one right on that and tell your doctors, put it right on the source of the pain. And oftentimes they'll look at you like you're a magician, doctor. What did you just do? But the key is that the doctor is telling them, this is an immediate response patch. I want to introduce you to this new technology, the phototherapy patches, because there's actually one that's more for long-term regeneration and repair that activates your own stem cells. And it'll get a little excited. We're going to help you with your pain right now so that you can stop limping and, changing your gait, and then it'll cause a problem somewhere else in your spine because you got a little hitch in your get along. But this X39, this is life-changing. Pain relief can be life-changing right
Yeah.
now, but life-changing as far as elevating your stem cells. If you say those things and you're planting the seeds, and if you're not going to use it long enough to give your own stem cells a chance to do something, don't start. It's a takeaway. It's like taking away a puppy from somebody. No, you can't take it home tonight. I'm just kidding. The actual puppy dog closes, you let them take a puppy home for a night just as a test to see if they like
Mhm.
it, and they'll keep the puppy. But just be frank with people. So many times I have people call me, branding partners in my downline, and they say, well, Tom, he used it for a month and he didn't get any results. And so he's quitting. I said, man, the conversation that needed to happen didn't happen. It's almost too late now. Tom may be salvageable if he gets all the right information, but if that keeps happening to you, you have to do something different. You're not getting the message to the person that it's not designed to heal you in a month or a
Yeah.
day or whatever it is. So have those conversations while you're introducing them to, before you even give them, I don't give samples anymore, but before you give them or go online with them or whatever you do to actually order the patches, make sure they understand that. Don't start if you're not going to finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it has to be pretty frank sometimes, because you'll tell somebody something 3 times, yet they'll come back a month later and they'll say, I used them for a month and I didn't notice a difference. So even if you've told them once or twice or 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
the last thing you say before you hang up or get off of your Zoom or whatever you do, now, Tom, do you remember what I said? This is not a short-term 1 month thing. Unless you are measuring every aspect of your bodily functions, kidney filtration, bone density, your blood chemistry, your liver enzyme, all of these things. And then if they still say, well, I'm going to try them on myself. Okay, Tom, let's establish, what are you going to be measuring? Because apparently they didn't get it when you were telling that. Tom, what are you going to be measuring? I just want to know so you'll have something to go by. You're
Yeah.
saying you want to see if they work. So what are you measuring? And then just be quiet. And they'll look at you and they're going, I've done this so many times. They're thinking, well, I want my knee pain to go away. Oh, I thought you were going to be doing like blood tests and stuff to measure the changes. So if you put it in that context, somebody's going to die in your state from something they don't even know they have. If you've told them that, and then if they still say, I want to see if they work on me. Well, Tom, what are you going to be measuring? Those are helpful to wake them up from their delusions of thinking it's like a drug where you
Yep.
take a blood pressure pill and then your blood pressure goes down today. They don't work like that.
And that brings up like a light bulb moment for me that I talk a lot about in my office. And I know I have a lot of questions that come from my team as well, because, and this is also something that I've genuinely loved about hearing your talks too, is, working in the world of progressive health and regenerative healing. We're not covering up a symptom. And so I've run into this with a lot of chiropractors who've started patching actually, which is kind of ironic. They have symptoms and symptoms come on and they think symptoms are bad when their body's going through a healing state. And so, I work with a lot of people through the 5 biological laws, and that's a given that healing requires symptoms. It requires tissue changes. It requires the cells to actually change and there to be degradation and there to be waste removal and there to be new growth. And that's something that I'm constantly talking and training about. And that comes a lot of the time, a lot of patchers too. It's like, well, I started and I felt better for a month, and then all of a sudden these symptoms came on. And so when we're patching people and telling them you need to try this in the long haul, I think it's so important to educate them that we're shifting the paradigm of thought in their head of what they actually think health is, because now we have to walk with them in a sense and educate them. Not just they have to wear it longer, because health isn't a magic pill that you take, but 2, symptoms can, and in my opinion, really should come on because your body's making changes. We've been taught in the world that symptoms are bad and expressing health is something that we should turn off. But really, when we understand and have great communication with our body, we're able to understand why that's happening. And that's something I would love for you to speak on, because I've listened to a lot of your talks too about getting rid of waste and what the body goes through. And it's not that you've now worn patches for 3 months and you have a headache. There's something going on in your body that your body's regenerating and actually healing through.
I love the way you explain that. Uh, a very, if that's overwhelming to someone who's not in healthcare, a really simple way of saying that is, let's say that I like stories. Let's say you're looking for a view lot. You want to build a house and you're looking for a lot and you're looking at empty lots, you're looking around, then you hear about this, oh man, there's this 100-year-old house and it has the best view in the whole state. And it's at the top of this hill. And you buy the property, you have no intentions in living in that house. I want to tell you, as you're tearing it down and digging it out, it's going to get really dusty and it's going to look really, really ugly. And it's going to be total chaos. Similar things happen in your body when you all of a sudden, first of all, our bodies are supposed to kill off 50 to 70 billion cells a day because they're old. As we age, we kind of run out of resources. We run out of stem cells. Things are a little bit tougher. The supply chain is not as quick to respond. And now, all of a sudden, you get this surge of production of your own stem cells. Your body says, I can kill all those guys off because I don't need them anymore. So off to the graveyard for you, off to the recycle bin, I should say. So now you have cells that are being destroyed. What happens to the debris? What happens to your cellular wall? What happens to all of the 2,000 mitochondria that are in there? Something has to be done and they have to be processed. So the system gets really stressed. There's a lot of traffic in your lymphatic system. It's full of traffic carrying stuff out, and you could feel really sluggish. Okay, now I got the first cycle done. Then a couple of months later, it says, I'm gonna go even deeper. Now I'm gonna do more stuff. And now you feel bad for a little while. Bad, it's symptoms. But your body's on the way to a higher state of health, just like you explained it, Dr. Kayla. In a more scientific term, healing happens in stages, and there are different things that happen, some of which have symptoms and some of them don't, that are noticeable. And that's true in just for every organ system we have in our body. Sometimes when things start to go haywire, we don't really know about it. And I know personally of people who, they went to the doctor and the doctor said they had stomach cancer, and 2 weeks later they were gone. Sometimes we just don't know symptoms. We don't feel them. So a simple bullet point way of saying or explaining about this process is that our body goes through stages of healing. Different things happen at different times. Some of them give symptoms and some of them do not. Expect that. Just embrace it, saying, man, I'm getting to a new level. I got to run up these stairs. Man, I'm going to get really tired, but I'm at a higher level of health when I get there. And that's kind of how I've explained that to people, to help them understand those phases that we go through.
Yeah.
Somebody asked a question about LifeWave, Eon, and the LifeWave. I think it would be best for time's sake to go on YouTube and search for David Schmidt videos on LifeWave placement, because everybody can go and watch those.
Yes, there's lots of great resources as well out there from a abundance of individuals. I know a couple of questions that have been directly sent to me as well as posted in the chat. If you are new here today and you are wanting to take all of this in and start patching and be committed to seeing your health and well-being change, if someone invited you here today, we have lots of people who are spreading the message of LifeWave. If someone has invited you here today, please get back with them and they will help you get the patches and get them ordered and shipped to you quickly. If you don't have anybody that has referred you, you are more than welcome to send me a direct message. I would love to help you get patching because this, like Dr. Harmon has said, this is vital. We don't know what's going on in our bodies. We don't have the whole entire picture. We are way more intelligent of creations than we are in our current thinking process to be able to understand and regulate what's going on in the higher intelligence of our body. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the higher intelligence utilizing the tools that our body was gifted to be able to render healing in ways that we've never tapped into before. So I think that covered most of the questions. Is there any like kind of closing words or stories? I'm an analogy. I love analogies. So I'm right here with you. Any stories or kind of words of wisdom or kind of heart's desires that you wanted to share with anybody today or the group today after we talked about a lot of different points?
I think one of the most important things to remember about sharing these patches with people is to keep it really simple. Especially for healthcare providers, we think that other people like to know all the details. Most of the times it's just confusing. And it's something that I've really had to work on, writing the books. I just get really excited about telling you how, the GHK chemo attracts capillary growth into damaged tissue and blah, blah, blah. They look at me like, what are you talking about? And so I would just keep it simple. What have you heard lately about stem cells? Open up your phone, type in startx39now.com or whathaveyouheard.com and watch that 2-minute video, scroll down, watch one of the videos at the bottom. Keep it simple like that. Let the video do the talking, and you're spreading light and love in a simple way so that people can understand it. The last thing you'd ever want to happen is that you get so technical, speaking of myself, that confused people do nothing. And so if I confuse people, then they do nothing. And I could have helped them for the rest of their life. And so try to keep it really, really simple. And the other thing is remove the emotion from anything you do, whether you're sharing it or not. And just imagine when you're sharing it with them, imagine whatever your favorite food is, and that you're offering it to them. And if they don't take it, there's more for you. And then you won't feel emotional about it. We just want to help people so bad, and we can't understand why don't you understand this? But the timing just might not be the right time for them, and maybe it will later. I've had people come to me years after I initially told them about it, and then they were ready. They weren't before.
Yeah, it's always a frequency. It's a different wavelength sometimes that people are on, and when they're ready to receive it, just like, I was 6 months into my husband patching and sharing patches, and I was just like, okay, fine. I just wanted to look into it. I wanted to look into it, and I'm a natural born questioner of all things. And so when I finally put a patch on, I got my story, right? As everybody has their story. And so, being a little bit more humble in the knowing that we're all humans and we all have stories and we all have things going on in our lives, that sometimes it's not the right time, but that doesn't mean you don't go back and follow up. And that's something that even in the chiropractic world, I've learned over and over again. Like, following up is an act of genuine love and service. It's just asking people how they are, and they may be ready to receive something that they weren't ready yesterday, but something changed in their viewpoint or in their awareness. And now they're able to circle back and if we leave it in a distasteful way, like we're upset that someone said no, they're not going to circle back to you. They're going to sit there and wonder who's going to offer it to them next so that they could feel confident in saying yes because they just weren't ready at that time.
Yeah, and that's exactly. We're just sharing from the heart. If they want to, then that's good. If they don't want to now, maybe later.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for your time. And I know there's lots more things we could have talked about, but we'll have to get you back here soon to talk about all the upcoming things that LifeWave is going to
Oh
synergistically
boy.
utilize. We needed a
Yeah.
whole talk about that in and
Oh
of
my
itself.
gosh.
We
Oh my
couldn't
gosh.
squeeze it in today. So we'll have to do it in the future. But thank you so very much for your time, your wisdom, your experience, and your knowledge. We are also, I'll speak for all of us, we are also grateful for you to take the time, energy, and effort to be with us today. So thank you.
I had so much fun and I love talking about it. Thanks for having me on to share it with
Yeah.
everybody.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining. I will post the replay on YouTube and send out the link. Have a beautiful day and get patching.
Get patched up.
That's right.